Namaste. My name is Nikhilesh and I teach artificial intelligence and large language models to senior IT professionals in a very simple language. So today we'll talk about federated learning. So what is federated learning? So it's a remote training on locally distributed private data. So it's a methodology where you can train private data which is locally distributed. I'll explain this thing in detail, but before that, let's understand why we need this. So we know that in order to train an LLM, we need high quality data, right? Now Llama 3 was trained on 15 trillions of tokens, which is 7 times bigger than Llama 2. Right now, in order to further improve LLM's performance and its knowledge, we need more data. But the problem is we are running short of data. If we take all our sources, we'll reach maximum up to 30 trillion tokens for English language. And if we include non-English language as well, maximum we could reach is up to 60 trillion tokens. And even LLMs also agree with us. So if you see, large language models are running out of training data, and this problem is expected to worsen over time. According to Epoch, an AI Research Institute, all high quality data could be exhausted by 2026. So what's after that? How can we train our models, or how can we improve the performance of our models, or how can we give more knowledge to LLMs? So that's the question. And so we have limited public data, but we have a multiple times private data which is available. From this graph, you can see that public data and private data is much more available. But obviously, you'll ask me that why if we start training LLMs on private data, what about privacy? What about confidentiality? So we have to address that thing as well. So two things we need to, right? So two things we need to address. One is, how can we train the model on private data? Because the problem is that the private data is not consolidated. It's actually spread across regions. It's spread across multiple organizations. It's spread across multiple devices. That's one. And second challenge, as we said, is how can we keep the privacy intact, right? So we know data is distributed across organizations, be organizations from healthcare, government, finance, manufacturing, or the data is distributed across devices like phones, laptops, automotive, home robotics, and other devices. So federated learning basically solves this problem, and how it solves this problem is that it can train the model without accumulating the data at centralized server or centralized location. Traditional data assumes that we have to accumulate all the training data at a centralized place. But federated learning can help us in train the data wherever it is, wherever distributed it is, and we can also take care of the privacy. Okay. Now collecting more data does not work, or we cannot actually collect all the data at one central position. There are so many reasons to it, because data needs to move, so some data cannot move. There is sensitive data, the volume of data is too high, there are privacy, regulation concerns, and practically it's actually not possible to collect so much data at a single place. And that's why federated learning comes into the picture. So what is federated learning? As per its definition, federated learning is a machine learning technique that enables multiple entities to collaborate on training a model while keeping their data decentralized. As in, we don't have to centralize the data. can keep the data where it is, and still we can train the model. And second is, it's a privacy friendly approach that doesn't require central database to store sensitive data. So it's privacy friendly as well. We'll talk about it later. So this is what federated learning is. So for example, in federated learning, we have these 5 clients, as in we have 5 different sources of data, and we have a global model, or a centralized place, right? So what happens, how does it start? We start training our clients, which are also known as local models, and there is a central server. This is also known as global model. So we start training our local models with the local data. Let's say we train the model for one epoch, and whatever weights we get from all the 5 clients, we send them to the central location, and central server basically aggregates all the weights. Now there are multiple ways to aggregate the weights. The one very simple is basically take the average of all the weights. Now once it has taken once it has aggregated the weight, or has basically taken the average, it sends the model back to these clients, and then again that model will be trained on the on the local data once again, for one more epoch, and then again the data will be sent back to the central location, or to the global model, or to the central server, and it again aggregates, and the process will continue till we reach a point where the loss is minimum, right? So this is how federated learning works. In case, so this is what it is written here. So basically server initializes the global model, and then for each communication round, server sends the global model to participating clients, and each client receives the global model. And then for each participating client trains the receiving client trains the receiving model on its local data set. Client sends its locally updated model to the server, and then server aggregates the updated model received from all clients using aggregation algorithm. Okay, and then once the conversion criteria are met, when the loss is minimum, we end the federated learning process. So this is how the federated learning happens. Basically, we are training the model on local data locally, and then we are aggregating at the central position. Then we are again sending the weights back to the model. Again we are training the model locally on the local data, and this process continues until the convergence criteria are met, and or our loss is minimum, and that's where and that's how the federated learning is done. Now the main part, what about privacy? How should we ensure? We are talking about private data. How should we ensure privacy? Right? So when we send the model, when updates can leak information, right? So when we are sending the local models, local weights to the central model, updates can leak information. And there are 3 kinds of attacks that can happen. One attack can be at the client level, other could be at the global level, and third could be at the third party system. So at client level, server, or third party, right? So various attacks can happen. One type of attack is like data reconstruction attack. Now you can see where the local data which we had at our client location, the images were reconstructed by leveraging the model updates sent by the client. So almost the images were almost reconstructed. So basically the private data has leaked. Now how can we ensure this doesn't happen? Right? So what is the solution? Solution is differential privacy. What is differential privacy? Because when we add any particular data, we also add some noise. So why we add that noise? So that that particular information become inconsequential. In here, let's understand this through an example. We have a model called D, and we add one data which is Alice's data, and the model become DR. Now, but if you do the analysis, if you take the output are almost similar. That means LSS's data has not made any difference, or LSS's data is basically inconsequential, because we have also added some noise while we were adding this data, and this is now known as differential privacy. So differential privacy in federated learning aims to protect the privacy of clients' data, and depending on the intended level of privacy and the role of adversary, it can be categorized into variants such as central and local. So there are two kinds of at two levels we can do differential privacy. I'll talk about it later. But there are two things that we can do. One is clipping. Clipping is basically we are removing the outliers, so that it bounds the sensitivity and mitigates the impact of outliers. And noising, as in we add some noise so that to make output statistically indistinguishable. So either it's not either, basically we do both the things. We clip the outliers and we also add the noise, and that's how we protect the privacy. So two levels of differential privacy, one at central level and second at local level. So at central level we call it as central differential privacy, and at local level we are calling it as local differential privacy. So at global level there is the we add the noise and we remove the outliers. The responsibility lies with the global model. So while it's aggregating, it adds the noise and it removes the outlier, and then it sends the weights or the model back to the client. By the way, there is one more thing that in this here we have few examples, like there are 5 clients, so we are sending all the all the model back to the central level, and the uh, global model back to all the clients. But we can, if in practicality there are thousands of clients, and we do not use thousands of clients. We basically choose a fraction of those clients, maybe few hundreds. And because the results have proved that the more clients we choose, less effective our model is, or less efficient our model becomes. So we choose few clients out of the whole, so out of the all the clients. Now, at local differential privacy, the onus lies on the client. Client has to add the noise and has to do the clipping before sending it to the global model. And so through this, we avoid privacy breach, or we avoid leaking the sensitive information. We only send the weight which are either clipped, which are actually clipped, and which had some noise, right? So now, how much bandwidth is needed for federated learning? So we have a very simple formula, that how much model is going out from the global model, what is the size of model which is coming in. So models going out, model coming in, we'll add that, and then we multiply it by cohort size. What do we mean by cohort is the total number of clients. So if we have 1,000 clients, the cohort size would be 1,000. In our previous example we had 5 clients, so we'll make cohort as 5. And then fraction selected. So as I said earlier, we don't always use all the clients at one particular point. So we use a fraction of it. So what's the fraction? 20%, 30%. So we'll multiply that by the fraction selected, and then we multiply it by number of rounds of training. So total model size which is going out, coming into fraction into cohort size, let's say 0.2 in 0.2 of 1,000. 200, 0.2 of 1,000, which is 200, so we'll multiply it by 200, and then number of rounds, let's say it took around 10 rounds, so we'll multiply it by 10. So this will give us the bandwidth of federated learning, which bandwidth is needed for the federated learning. So federated learning is a very important concept. It's a very good invention, I would say, because later on, in next 2 to 3 years, we'll see that most models will be trained through federated learning, and we need to know what federated learning is. So, and you need to know what federated learning is, because when you will be training the models, you will actually be using federated learning for that. So I hope you understood the concept and appreciate the concept of federated learning. Thanks for watching this. Have a nice day. Thanks. Bye.